and onto YouTube. All right, and we have here the text online. We're learning okay, so the Mammarim of Sharna, good morning. We're on page, I think it's page 3. Yeah. So
it's good night, and your other classes are on Wednesday night here,
Wednesday
not Tuesday night. Anyway.
Okay, Wednesday. All right, thank you. Yes, Wednesday night. So okay, so we're doing Vayishlach has a whole, but the beginning of Vayishlach has a few Mammarim, a few of the discourses that are on the beginning of the parsha. And I just want to read a little bit from the footnote number 1. It says these Mammarim were said Shabbos Parshas Vayishlach this week, Yudal Kislev, the 14th of Kislev, Tafkuf Samachay, which would be 1815, I think. It's a continuation of the Maimrim that was said in Lavangarti the year before, Tafkuf Samachdal, which would be 1814. And so it says over here, basically, the Maimrim were said over a period of Shabbos, different times of the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, early in the morning. It says, M'amar the Rebbe Explains in the small Beis Medrash on Friday after Mincha before the Kabbalah Shabbat. And then it was also said, second part was said,
what? I don't think those details are going to stick with anybody.
No. I know, but it's part of the story. We have to know the story of the Mammar. Okay,
well, I don't pay attention to that, but
we'll get to the content in a second. And then the second part, Vayomer Yaakov, was said Shabbos early in the morning, 2:00 in the morning. And the third one was said Shabbos afternoon after Mincha. Okay. So the first time starts like this. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. Yaakov sends angels, like Rashi says, actual angels to his brother Esav on his way home from Lavan. So the Rebbe says like this: he needed to do it's known that Yaakov Sharshim Mechin Shem Ba Ma. Yaakov's root is from the name which is called Ma. Ma is what? Which is the way you spell Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, spelling out the letters Yud Vav Daled, etc. So there's different ways to spell the letters, and you come out to different number values. So this is the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, and the number value 45, which represents the Olam Atik in the world of fixing. V'sharshe shel Esav, and where is the root of Esav? He's from the world of chaos. And what is the difference? The lights of the world of chaos are tremendous. There's very powerful light of energy that goes into the vessels. Because the lights are so strong, they can't enclose themselves. They can't be contained in the vessels because the lights are too powerful to be, so to say, contained in the vessels. And therefore they leave the vessels. They can't go when they leave. And they have to stay in a kind of an encompassing energy. And because of that, the effect it has on the vessels. So again, in a short idea, which is, we've learned this many times, the idea of vessels and lights is that Hashem manifests himself, that the characteristics of the midos, say chesed, gvura, kindness, severity, so it's a system like lights through vessels, and the light that comes out of the vessel manifests in the world an energy of chesed or gvura. So Hashem is the simplicity. The Or Sof is a simplicity. So in a basic way. So the idea of Hayariah, so the idea of the vessels and the lights is that they have to work together. If the vessels are in the lights, and from the lights comes out, manifests an energy of chesed, etc. But if the lights are too powerful and the vessels can't contain it, so then the lights leave the vessels, and automatically the vessels don't remain. They need the pressure of the light, and therefore, like in any situation, they explode. So to say, the nishberu, they break, and they shatter below, and that's what's the whole. And they give off an energy because lights themselves have a defined energy, and that energy now goes to something negative, and that's all the dealings that we deal with in the past 5,700 years is trying to pick up the broken pieces. Therefore, the way Esav is down in this world, he's a Rashi, he's a wicked person. He's the broken vessels. But if you were to look at him from his root, and again, because in godliness there's no such thing as time, so it's happening all at once. There's the way Esav is at his root, which is the powerful lights in the vessels, and then it's how there's the broken vessels. But at his root, he's this great light. He's connected to this great light of the world of Tohu. And therefore, the potential in the root of Esav is much greater than the root of Yaakov. Yaakov is organized, so the lights and the vessels work together, and therefore you're able to bring down through the mitzvahs, and we're going to see in a second how that all works, bring down through the mitzvahs, you're able to bring down the light into this mundane world, where Esav has an ability to attach himself to tremendous energy, but it's broken in this world. But at his root, he's greater than the world of Yaakov, the world of fixing. As will be explained, Hashem, God willing, on the pasuk Vayikach min Ababi Ad Mincha. There, the fourth Mammar, which we're not going to learn, is where the Rebbe goes into more details about this concept. The Pinchas told us, and we did learn last week, 2 weeks ago. Sorry, the Pinchas told us Re'ei Reach B'ni, the idea of what manifests from Yaakov's clothing. He wore Esav's clothing. He was able to smell the smell of God, the Garden of Eden. Okay. So like this now. So what's the story now when Yaakov? So we know. So Esav in this world is corrupt, but his potential, his root is very strong. Yaakov is trying to fix things. So what happens now when they meet? And Yaakov thinks, she'Esav nisbar kfar, that Esav's already fixed himself. He's been refined. So what was broken is now fixed. And like Yaakov did his work in the past 22 years in the world, in the house of Lavan, so too he figured that Esav spent that time also fixing himself. And Esav was able to go back to his high roots in the encompassing energies of Tohu, right? Which is Shlifnei Tikun. That is higher than Tikun, not just before, but higher. Therefore, Yaakov sends angels in front of him, ahead of him, the fun of Mammar, totally above what's going on. He's trying to go to a higher level to see if that's been fixed. The high level has been broken. He wants to see if that's been fixed. Of Esav Achiv Seira, he sent it to his brother Esau, who was in Seir. These are the original kings. In this week's Parsha Vayishlach, we learn about the kings of Esav. These are the original kings of the world of chaos. So those kings are before the kings of Israel, not just before in time, but also before in level. These great encompassing lights. So basically, had the lights been able to remain in an encompassing way above the vessels, and the vessels would be able to kind of coexist with the lights in such a manner, so there would have been tremendous power. But it broke. The vessels weren't able. They kind of disconnected from the lights and they crashed. So, but he thought that maybe at the original, that he was able to go back to the lights the way they were connected to the vessels before they crashed. Hey, Danny. So to be able to bring Yaakov wanted to bring down the levels, the encompassing levels of the world of Tohu into the Elov to him, because he always, again, Esav has tremendous lights. Totally not controlled. Tohu is the world of the animal. It's not controlled. It's not, but the power is like, again, the power of the ox is much more powerful than a human. But it's not this, that has to be controlled. So he figured that Esav kind of got himself under control, and he wanted to bring down from Esav's tremendous light into the world of Yaakov. So what happens? So and we're down, page 4. The Mata B'tikun, to bring it down to the world of fixing. Shu b'chinas Or Pnimi, because Yaakov actually is not an encompassing light. He's an internal light, Pnimi. And Pnimi, with the difference between a Pnimi and a Makiv in general. Pnimi means to internalize something, and Makiv is encompassing. We have a lot of mitzvos that represent the Makiv, and we have other mitzvos that represent the Pnimi, the internal. For instance, just the experience of Sukkot is both things. We have Sukkah, we're sitting in a sukkah. By definition, it's an encompassing energy, right? We're sitting in a space that surrounds us. And then we take the lulav and esrog and we bring it to our hearts, is to take that energy and to bring it, to be machnes it, to make a pnimi. Or if we make a bracha, we eat food. We're bringing the food within us. We're bringing the mitzvah within us. There's certain mitzvahs that are bringing the mitzvah within us. And there's certain mitzvahs that are encompassing. A talis is encompassing.
I don't understand how he says Esav is makif and Yaakov is pnimi. I mean, what is the basis for making that differentiation?
Is because Yaakov is the world of fixing, and Esau is the world of Tehu. Tehu, by definition, the world of chaos is by definition a makiv. Because the lights are so strong, they can't go in the vessels. It's like
how come it's tohu and not vohu? What makes it tohu and not vohu? Let's say
that's a good question. I have to check the source of that, but it's based on Kabbalistic teachings that Esav is the world of Tehu. So
But
it
I
says
thought Tohu and Bohu was before any creation at all, so Esav is part of
that's
creation.
well, it's part of creation of the world of Tikkun. Esav is connected. That's the whole point. Esav is connected to the world beyond that. And because of that, why is my page jumping here? Because of that, he's able to, that's his level, and doesn't,
I
it's
don't
not.
know. I don't know how that can be substantiated, and it doesn't make sense to me. But it says it,
First of all,
but I don't. It doesn't make sense.
the world of, it says Tohu Vavo after creation. It's Bereshis Bar Alikim Message Shemaim, and Tohu Vavo was in the first day, so it was not before creation. It was before the organized creation, at the end, the final creation, but the beginning, the world of Tohu was also.
So how is it that Esav would be in that space? I don't get it.
Because, first of all, the Rebbe talked many times that people till today are in that space. Any people that are not organized and kind of their life is kind of they're attaching themselves to the world of Teo. Although the general world continued into Tikkun, but the concepts of Teo still exist in this world, and we find that in people. There's different people. Some people are organized, some people are less organized, and that's because they're attached more to the world of Teo.
Well, okay, if you say, but I didn't think that level of organized or disorganized is at the level of differentiating if a person is in a world before, different world. Anyway.
But let's continue. So so therefore so Yaakov is in the world of Pnimi. He wants to bring it into Pnimi, and he wants to V'yar Hamakiv Pnimis Yachda Yaakov. Yaakov wanted to make a combination between the internal light and the external light. The external light, which is again can't be in the vessels. He said he's strengthened the world of Tikkun. Again, the world of Tikkun is the vessels are stronger than the lights, so they can contain the lights. The lights are dimmed, are not as strong, and therefore the vessels are stronger. So it's both things. The world of Tohu, the lights are stronger and the vessels are weaker. Not only that, but also the personality. The personality of the world of Tikkun is coexistence, and the personality of the world of Tohu is separation. So therefore Yaakov sends the angels to Esav. So you should say to my master Esav, that he's telling them a message. I lived with Lavan and I had oxen and donkeys. What does that mean? Meaning to say, shekvar nigmar v'nishlach kol seder tikkun shekvar nigmar v'nishlam kol seder tikkun datzilus b'tachas l'shleimus. He's saying that I already have fixed all the world of tikkun. Absolutely. So I have Shor Chamar, everything's organized. Everything in the world of Atzilus, which is the world of Yaakov, which is Shor Chamar, Tzayin, Ve'evid, V'shivcha. He doesn't go into the details of what they each represent, but they all represent different organizations within the world of Tikkun. The ox, the donkey, the sheep, the servants, the maidservants. Kulam Nisbaru, all these levels have been refined. V'nisknu Aidei Shaima, and they were able to be fixed to the name of God, which is Ma. Esav is the name of Sag, which is 63. Yaakov is the name of Ma, which is 45. Again, these are how you spell out the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei if you were to spell out the letters. They don't have to be spelled out exactly the same. V'zeu vahi li. What does it mean it was to me? That I fixed it. I own it, so to say. I own the spirituality of this. The cause then, how was I able to do this? What enabled me to fix this? Im Lavan Garti, I lived with Lavan. So like we learned in last week's of Mammar, that's why it's a continuation. Pirsh bechinas Lavan Alien, because from the whiteness above, Lavan in his high level is the simplicity, and in the simplicity there's flexibility, and in that flexibility I was able to fix everything that had to be fixed within my space. Yaakov didn't just serve Lavan; he took from Lavan. And Baal Olam Hatzilus, and Yaakov was in the world of Hatzilus, the world of emanation, the world where godliness is absolute. The Varal Sakanakal. From there, he was able to fix and elevate everything. Again, there's two broken systems here. One is the broken vessels, and that's the unholiness that fell into the world, because the vessels now have a life of their own without God, without the life of their own, without the light of godliness. And then there's the humans that have to be fixed from eating from the tree of knowledge and engaging in the snake. So because of Yaakov in the world of Atzilus is able to levar sakanakol to fix everything. And since he's finished everything, he's completed his job in his space of influence. When is the encompassing lights a problem? When there's empty vessels. But when you have full vessels, when you have a full internal, so now you're ready to take an external. So therefore, he's ready to bring down the external lights of the world of Torah from Esav. Shim loy haya nigmar hatikin b'shleimus. Had Yaakov not fixed doing what he had to do, we wouldn't be a receptacle in a way that we could take the makifim. The makifim, again, are very powerful encompassing lights. You have to be solid within to be able to be in that experience in a holy way. Otherwise, you're back to square one with broken vessels. Moshe Kasa Bazar, this is all explained in the Zohar, that what? The less birchasa, you can't have a blessing. Sharia doesn't rest, basari kana, in an empty space. An empty space means you haven't done any avoda. So if you have avoda and you're solid, then they could have a place. It has to be a vessel. You have to be receptacle to the lights. El Basar Shlima has to be a complete space. Now, after Yaakov spent 20 years by his father-in-law Lavan, is Atikum Metachas, he's fixed our space. Harizeh Asar Shlim, it's a complete space. Now he wants to be able to unite with Esau, to have his encompassing light. Now again, it wasn't just that he was looking to take from Esau. It would be a partnership, because Esau also needs the stability of Yaakov. Therefore, what does he do? Yaakov is sending a message to his master, so to say, to Esau, which is he has the power to give him something, to find favor in his eyes, that he should give him from his lights of the world of Tohu, thinking that Esau has already fixed himself as well. Dahainu, meaning to say, give me from your encompassing light, in my world, from the world of chaos. That's what he means to find favor. He says, I'm worthy of it. I've been able to fix the donkeys and the oxes and the sheep. This hapcha, I've transformed my space of darkness to light. In my world. And it's a completeness. So I'm worthy of having favor in your eyes, to give me from your light the world of Esau. I should be able to have the blessing of the encompassing light. That's the first Mammar the Alter Rebbe said on Shabbos afternoon before Kabbalah Shabbos. Then he continues the Mammar. So that's what Yaakov wants. But what do the angels respond to Yaakov? By Yeshuva HaMalachim, the angels come back to Yaakov, and what do they say to Yaakov? They say, "Banu al-chicha Esav. We went to go see Esav, with your message. He's coming at you with 400 men." I mean, Pirush, what are they saying? What the angels are saying to Yaakov back is like this: You're right. What you've done, you're worthy of getting the encompassing lights of a healthy lights of Tohu that Esau should give you had he been doing his job for the past 22 years. Because you fixed the world of fixing. The problem is, what should we do? Shamaniya, the holdup. Your brother Esau is not ready. He's not ready for this relationship. Why? He's still broken. He hasn't done anything about fixing himself. He hasn't refined himself at all. If that's this case, how are you supposed to get from him in a healthy relationship? He's the same Esau. The Alter Rebbe continues. He's still crushed below. He hasn't elevated his sparks to be in a healthy environment of the lights of Tohu. And what's the proof that he's not fixed yet? That he's still broken. He's coming at you with 400 men. And the 400 men are not just the 400 men physically. What are these 400 men? Okay, now, this idea that the Alter Rebbe is about to say is in other words brought down by many of them Farshei Torah. The connection between the 400s that we find in different places of Torah. 400 men, 400 people that David went to, 400 coins that Ephron has. Okay. So he says like this, Pirush Dal Meisish, what are these 400 men? Heim dinim kashim. It's the bad side of Esau. Dinim kashim means severe judgment. Very judgmental, not a healthy judgmental. Shahachitzoinim, that comes from the external. Hanim shachim, and where did they get the energy for this because to be kosher, to be a hard judgment, they have to be relying on a fuel. What's the fuel that they're, tough, but they dinim kashim stakchim. They come from the 400 houses of harsh judgment that forget any connection to holiness. Like it says in Idra Rabbi, quotes the Medrash. And we know what is Where is the source of all this from? Because anything that comes in unholiness has to have a source from holiness. So where did unholiness, where did impurity, where did Tuma get this energy of the 400 men? It says, the root of Dal Meis Ish, of the 400 men of Esau, is Hava min Dal Meis Shekel Kesef. They come from the 400 coins that Avram gave Ephron to buy the Moras HaMachpelah, the place of Hebron, the burial place of Hebron, the Machpelah for his wife Sarah, and eventually he was buried there as well. Noson Avram Avinu alav Hashem leEphron. The Avram gave him to Ephron. He didn't just give him money; he gave him holy energy. Shadal Meis Shekel, these 400 coins. Hem taf almin di kisufin di yorsi tadikai la'amidasi. Avram tried to do an investment. He has 400 coins, the almond, the chisufim, the world of pleasure, of holy pleasure. That the yarsi means that from the word Yerusha, that are going to be as an inheritance for the righteous in the world to come. So he had collateral, and he figured, what can I do with the collateral? I'm going to invest it in Ephron and elevate Ephron, and then that 400 coins will come back. There will be a return on the 400 coins instead of waiting to use them for when the tzad, the righteous, they have to come to the world to come. What is he explains? What is this? These are the lights of tremendous holy pleasure. You have to remember, anything in this world is a reflection of what's really happening in the world of spirituality. The concept of pleasure exists in the world of spirituality, but holy pleasure. And where does that come from? Where's the source of pleasure in holiness? Is Atik, is the source, is the inner part of Keser, of the crown, above even knowledge. Right, above Chacham, above wisdom and understanding, above our mind is the crown. Right, the crown sits on top of the head, and over there is the source of pleasure and ratzah, and pleasure and want. And the deepest of that is where the 400 coins come from. And that is the Atik, which is the inner part of the crown, is the middle between Atzmus Ein Sof, the infinite light, the infinite of Hashem, Lail Matzilos, to the world of creation, of emanation. We know the crown is in between creator and creation, between the creator and the creations. And from that pleasure, what do you mean the pleasure? Pleasure is, like we've said many times, what motivates God to create the world is the pleasure he has from what we do in the world, what we're accomplishing with the world. And that's what motivated creation. And that's revealed to tzaddikim who do what they're supposed to be doing in this world. He reveals that to them. And that's a gift to them to be able to understand and to take pleasure in the pleasure of creation. And that's for the tzaddikim, for the righteous, and the love in the world to come. These are the 400 worlds of pleasure. And they're translated in the 400 coins. That was the currency that they were being deposited in. And they're called Oiver L'Seicha. What's it mean? Oiver L'Seicha means he gave them coins that could be used in any situation. Right, that's how powerful these coins were. That they're a currency that could be used in any country, in any place. The word seicher also means sechar, to surround. Lashon sechar. That's a keser which surrounds the head. It's the encompassing energy of the whole creation. That's where the world of Tohu kind of taps into. From these 400 worlds of the pleasure. They're even above the surrounding of the crown. That's how deep the pleasure of God takes in creation and our avodah of what we do in this world. And from there they go through the crown into the world in the world to come, for the tzaddikim to take pleasure of what, basically to tap into the energy of creation, not just to what we're doing in creation, but actually into the motivation. We actually are able to experience the pleasure God gets in why he created the world. So that's a very high power of energy and pleasure that the tzaddikim are able to tap into in the world to come. So why did he give it to Ephron? I mean, why would you give that to Ephron, right? Avram was no one's fool. Ephron was not worthy to be a custodian of these coins. And why did Avram give them to Ephron? Avram felt giving it into the world, we could penetrate the world now with it, and elevate the world. That idea, he wanted it to be in a world of birurim. It would be, it's a powerful tool to people to tap into the pleasure of creation that would elevate people to a refinement, a better way of service, the better way of living. To be able to take them afterwards out when they had an effect in creation. With more blessing, right? He invested like any investment. B'taisvus for a return. B'taisvus means for an addition. It means as powerful as they were before they affected the world, imagine how much more powerful they would be after they've had effect on the world. But what happened? The Alter Rebbe says, the bottom line is between this and that. They went so low, and instead of finding a bottom, so to say, and elevating upwards, they ended up being Esav's people, which are total, people of Esav's people of negative. And it went from being an encompassing energy to a sak. A sak is like a albish shemaim kardis v'sak asim ksusam. Sak is like a leftover external, but it's not something positive. It becomes a source that the negative forces could siphon off. And this 400, the investment, to put it bluntly, it was an investment gone wrong, right? It didn't return. It went, instead of feeding that they should have a positive return, it ended up being just a source of energy, which is very powerful, and it's the 400 men of Esau. Loss of love, the Alter Rebbe says, when Mashiach comes, loss of loving the time to come, Bigmar kol librum, when we're finished all the refinement of all the negativity that's happening in the world. That's why we're seeing a lot of things coming up now. When death is going to be swallowed up forever, it means there will be no more death in the world. Death is a representation that there is something negative in the world. And when you get rid of the impurities of the world, then Ephron will return the 400 coins to their holiness, to the holy place in a complete way. Okay. So now that the angels tell Yaakov that there's 400 men that are siphoning off the coins of Avram to Ephron, means they're using positive energy to go fight Yaakov instead of to come to meet Yaakov. Yaakov knows that plan A is not going to work. There's no way for Esau on his own willingly is he going to be giving him anything of the makif that Yaakov should have benefit of what Esau has to give him. So therefore, how could he give him holiness when he himself is part of the problem still? So the only solution is Yaakov has to, so to say, force it out directly his own ways out of Esau without Esau giving it willingly. Esau's not there. He's not part of the solution. He's part of the problem. Therefore, when Yaakov realizes that he has to do it on his own, so there's a process. You can't just take something. You have to try Yaakov is continuing with this he has to kind of fool the system of impurities to get out of there. So he has to do what's called halosman. He has to do the mayim nukvin. He has to do the female waters to attract a reaction from above that's in an unconscious way from Esav's energy. You can't just expect to get something. You have to do an avoda. So the avoda that Yaakov does, seemingly we get from this Mammar, there is an avoda that we talk about in a second, avoda for us, but seemingly what we get from this Mammar is just generally an understanding of what Yaakov wanted, and generally an understanding of that time. Everything has to be part of the present. There's no such thing as Torah that lives for the time, but it was something that was very powerful at the time that helped us to be what we're now, but we don't do anything Yaakov did then is not something that we could duplicate now on an actual level, and that's what the Alter Rebbe is going to come to. So what is Vizeu Inyan HaMincha Sheshalch Yaakov Esav? So how does he try to get it out of Esav? If Esav is not part of the solution, he's part of the problem. So he sends him these gifts. But B'chinas Halasman, that's all the female, the elevation from below up, the female waters. Lahamshach Ma'im Duchrim, to bring down the reaction, which is what we call the male reaction, the male waters. That the Makif Tetov from the encompassing energy should come down, notwithstanding of Esav not being fixed yet. Therefore, he sends animals that we don't find anywhere. Basically, the point Alter Rebbe is saying is we don't find these animals to show up in any kind of avoda later. I mean, we have nothing against camels, but they're not kosher animals. They're not part of the sacrifice system. Therefore, he sends camels, even though they're not pure animals. Because to the level of makiv, light and darkness is all the same. it's so high of a level, because everything has godliness in it. What's the problem with a non-kosher animal? The way it manifests in this world, there's kosher, not kosher. There's a system, but in the encompassing energy of it, everything has a source of godliness and holiness. So therefore, it goes so deep. There's no light, there's no dark. Everything is so. Therefore, even the camel is a way to bring down a reaction from such a high level. Again, most of this details of the sacrifices will be explained in the further Mammar, the different gifts that he gives to Esau. But he wants to go into the basic idea over here. He continues. Again, this is the third Mammar the Alter Rebbe says, that is said in Shabbos afternoon. And so Yaakov says like this: Elokei Avi Avram, the God of my father Avram. Pirush. What does this mean? Shehispalel, Yaakov now prays to God. Sheyimshach elav makifim dekdusha shel avis. He needs strength. He needs tools. That he should get the encompassing energy that the fathers had. La'azrele, that they should come to help him. Sheyochel hamshach makifim to go so deep to bring down. Seemingly, what we're seeing from here is that Esau was attached to levels of holiness that were even above the fathers at his source. It means the fathers Avram Yitzchak, because Yaakov is part of the system of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. So he prays to his fathers, to the God, to give him the energy of his fathers that also had an encompassing, but not on the level of encompassing energies of Esau, of the world of Tohu. Shizgala lamata, that these tools, his forefathers, should help him and reveal down to him below. By days and together, so to say, with the energies of his fathers. And through that also, there's a very big risk what the Yaakov is doing, because it's a broken system. He's trying to get light and holiness out of a broken system, and the brokenness is not dormant. The Esau is with 400 men of negative energy. So how does he navigate such a situation? So he needs his father's help. Not just to be able to get out of Esau, but also not to be damaged by Esau the way he is in this world, where it's looking to hurt him. So what does he do? So he has to mimic the reaction that would attract Esau. Esau is a different avoda than our world. So first thing is he divides his camp into two camps. Why does he divide his camp into two? This is based on the idea. What is the fundamental difference between the world of chaos and the world of organization? In the world of chaos, the spheres didn't coexist. They were separate one from the next. Mifrada means separate. In the world of tick fixing, there's this aligned system, and an aligned system that they all support each other. The Hainu Gimel Kavim, the three sides, the three lines, so to say, of Imin Small V'emsa. There's the right, left, and middle. And so to say the middle, it's like the segel we're going to see in a second, where the middle, like the Tiferes, supports the balance between kindness and severity. Kindness and severity are two opposite emotions, right? If you're being in a severe way, or if you're being in a kind way. So you have the Tiferes that allows for the balance, the beauty, which is the mixture of the two. So everything coexists together. So there's a healthy balance in the emotional makeup of the world of fixing. But in the world of chaos, the emotions are separate. It's either you're a kind being or not a kind being. Whatever, every emotion represents separate, without any coexistence in the next one. Right, left, and center. The middle one is not separate. Is the connection. The middle is the connection between the right and the left. That they should coexist. Kindness should be balanced with discipline. Right? If you have kindness without discipline, there's a problem. So there has to be the balance. You do it at Tiferes, and that is the middle emotion, the middle midah of Tiferes, of beauty, allows for chesed and gvura to coexist to each other. That's why it's compassion. Compassion is Tiferes also. It's the idea of when you're compassionate, when you know there's a problem, then there may be a moment for discipline now, but I'm going to have compassion and deal with it in a different way. Therefore, the Jewish people that were from the world of Yaakov, and we have to have everything coexist together. All the midas have to organize themselves properly. So everything by us is in the number 3. That's why the number 3 is a very powerful number in Judaism. And that's what we say. Gimel Pam Kaddish. We say 3 times holy. Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish is to represent the 3. God says to the Jewish people when they leave Egypt and go to Matan Torah, you should be to me a people of Segula. What does the word Segula come from? From the word Segel. That's the third vowel. which is 3 dots, 2 dots on the right and the left above, and the third dot supporting that, which is the bottom dot of the segel. That's in a world of organization, of balance, of support. But the world of chaos, the world of Esav, appeared. Every emotion is separately. Each one under the next one, not supporting the next one. And they don't coexist, they don't unite together. There's 2 sides, either you're like this or you're like that. Kindness is separate. And severity, discipline, judgment, is separate. This idea is explained in many places. The idea is part of the reason there can't be coexistence is what we said initially. When you have tremendous lights, right? When you have a tremendous personality, which is represented by the tremendous lights, it doesn't recognize another personality. It doesn't give space for something else. So the more when you have dim energy, calm down, I know your kindness, but kind of understand the opinion of discipline, or I know your discipline, understand the approach of kindness. But when a person is full of their light, and it's powerful light, they don't have space for anything else. They can't tolerate anything else. And the vessels to try to understand this were so small. Again, the problem is both large lights and small vessels. And in the world of fixing, it's totally the opposite. Strong vessels and light and smaller lights. So that's why things are able to be organized and stay whole. Where in the world of chaos, it's just there's not enough. The vessels are too weak and the lights are too strong. So therefore, okay, because the vessels are so small. In comparison to the great light, it can barely take its own light. How's it supposed to be? How's it supposed to have an approach or the mindset of also of the other midah, of the other attribute? Adar, he gives an example of 2 types of people. We see this in people. It goes back to what Sharna says with the idea of toyo in today's life. So we see that in people. We find people. Misha sichle katan. The seichel is the vessel. It's not the light. So misha seichel katan. If a person has a small brain, small mindset, that person can't have 2 ideas at one time. Either they see it in a kind way or they see it in a way. They can't have a perspective you need a person who has a larger understanding or larger vessel in their brain to be able to see things from both sides. If they see someone who has a small seichel, if they see that this person deserves merit, where the situation demands merit, they don't be able to hear anything on the negative. All they see is the positive. They can't contain 2 ideas. And therefore the reaction to their heart to the subject is also not going to see anything negative. All they see is that this is the positive. All they're going to be able to see is the kindness, the good. And when the information goes the other way, when their mind sees that something demands discipline or demands the person's found to be wanting. So that person can't handle any other opinion. Maybe the person has a merit. Maybe there's another opinion. Maybe you understand. If you understand a little better, you understand the situation. That person can't because they have a small head. They either go one or the other way. Either they're very kind, and giving, or they're very disciplined. They don't have balance in their approach to things. And it's separate. It's either or. When that person is in a chesed mindset, they can't see any judgment. They can't see any discipline. Or the opposite. We see this all the time. That's the 2 sides. It's either or. It's either this way or that way. Segel is the 3. There's the balance. You can handle kind of everything. You can have a perspective and see it from a bigger picture. That's what we call it, the bigger picture. It has to be larger space. Because in the world of Esav, it's either a chesed or gevura, either severity or kindness. That's the world of Esav, the world of chaos. But in the world of tikkun, shetiferes machriya bein chesed and gevura. Tiferes is not just the balance, but also the deciding factor. You can hear 2 sides of a conversation. Even when there's so to say a demand for discipline and judgment, could hear the voices, the rationale of merit, and vice versa. Because in tikkun, the lights are not so powerful, can't relax. Let's just hear things out. And the vessels are large, to able to contain different ideas. Therefore, the vessel is large enough to hear 2 approaches. That's an example. A person who has a broad head, and is able to take a perspective of two ideas, and to put it both in their mind and in their heart, means their reaction to the situation. That maybe that we have to find merit in the situation, even though screaming at us could be that the person did something wrong. Even though there's another voice saying discipline is required in this situation. And that's why it's three. They're able to be together, kindness and severity. I'll give a kav, and that's the three. That's made up of three. But when it comes to Yaakov and Esau, why does Yaakov separate into two camps, not three camps? Because he's not looking to talk to Yaakov. He's looking to talk to Esau. He has to talk to the voice that he's trying to get something from. So he divides into have a reaction from Esau. He wanted from these great lights, undisciplined lights from Esau. Because once he has them, he can incorporate it into his system, but he first needs to get them. These are the unlimited, powerful lights that come from the source of Esau. Therefore, when he wants a reaction, he has to give an attraction to what Esau's attracted to, which is the division of the two, not the division of three. We do understand. You want to get something, right? So he says the rule is shaman the ma'im nukfim, when you're trying to bring up an attraction. It has to be lifi oifen hamshacha in the kind of what you're trying to bring down. So if you're trying to talk to Esau, don't talk conversation that Yaakov understands. You have to talk the language that Esau understands. Otherwise, he doesn't respond to that. What you elevate is what you bring down, and he's trying to get down from Esau. He has to mimic what Esau wants to hear. If that's the case, if the world of Tayu only has two sides, Yaakov has to duplicate that. Therefore, he has to separate into two camps. And therefore, to be like the world of chaos, which is where Esau is, one under the next. And not in a way of lines. So he says, let's go a little further, finish this Mammar. So therefore he says, he's able to bring down the encompassing lights. What did he bring? He sent all kind of goats and animals to Esau. The idea of sending these gifts, was the idea to bring up an attraction, to bring down a reaction from Esau's world of encompassing. And we know that the whole idea of sacrifices is that we do a sacrifice, so we should bring down the light of godliness. But how do we bring down the light from Esau? You have to do something that he's attracted to. Yaakov didn't do anything like the sacrifices that we find later in the Torah. Why? And he'll describe in a second what that means. How does one do a korban after when we built the temple? Is behemoths tahirim. First of all, it has to be only kosher animals. Ushchutim, you have to slaughter them first. Even though that a non-Kohen is shechted, but it has to be shechted. We don't find any sacrifice that's done with a live animal. Only one time when we send the goat down the mountain on Yom Kippur, that the animal is first alive. And even when we sacrifice, most of the time, what we sacrificed was the fat and the blood. But this sacrifice that Yaakov sends, most of them were non-kosher animals. He gave nursing camels. He gave them alive, not dead, not slaughtered. Why could he give all kind of animals and in a full way, not just parts and not slaughtered? That's how you get down the lights from the world of chaos, from the world of Esau. And to get something down from the world of chaos, from the world of Esau that Yaakov's trying to get, is different. Mishuna means different. In a different way from the way we do things, the female waters and the male waters in the world of fixing, which is the world of sacrifices in the Beis Hamikdash. That's the sacrifices of Torah. Torah is all the way things are in our world, the world of Yaakov, the world of Atzilus, and it has specific laws. Again, it's internal. If you have an internal something, right? You can't compare if you clothing to food, right? Even the clothing also can be made from an animal, from the wool of an animal, but it's outside. It's not important. So important, right? If you're gonna eat a bone, you're gonna choke. You can't eat all the parts of the animal. You have to cook it first because you want to internalize it. The restrictions of engaging in something in an external is different how you engage something if you want to internalize it, because you have to become part of it. Because in order to, so the same thing with the sacrifices have to be, not all the animal has to be slaughtered, has to be kosher, because you're becoming one with it. The lights become condensed. It has to fit into the vessel. And because the light goes into the vessel, that means the light has to be condensed, otherwise it wouldn't fit inside the vessel. Only when the lights are small is how things are in the world of tikkun. The Torah that comes from that, there's older laws. It's very simple to make a sacrifice on kosher. Even the sacrifice himself, if you don't slaughter right, if there's a blemish, all these things, because when you internalize something, it has to be much more exact. When the Torah talks about what the accomplishments we have in the world of fixing, it's all specific. How we do a sacrifice. Has to be kosher. Only 3 types of animals. They have to be slaughtered. There's many things that can make a sacrifice unkosher. There's many rules. He called Torah the whole Torah is based about very specific rules, but measurements. That the lights have to be condensed within the vessels. That's why the Torah has a lot of specifics, whereas in the world of Esav, it wasn't like that. When Yaakov sent these animals, they were halos mal b'chinas hamakif. It was trying to get an external energy, not something to internalize. That's a great infinite light. Therefore, it was beyond the vessel. Just going a little fast so we can finish. When it stayed in an encompassing way. Therefore, it was even able to be non-kosher animals like camels. They're alive, they weren't slaughtered. And all the other restrictions of sacrifices didn't apply to this in this case. We're talking about an infinite light. It didn't have to be condensed and specific. God could handle anything. It's only the way God manifests himself in the details is when the details make a difference. Even non-kosher, for the infinite, there's no all these specifics. Like it says, even about the pig, when Mashiach comes, there'll be a time when the pig will be kosher. When Mashiach comes, all negativity is going to be gone. So the pig is no longer going to represent impurity. The essence of the infinite. Then at that time, we're going to be able to elevate the pig. Today we can't. The pig is not kosher. Yaakov, he didn't send pigs, but when he sent gifts to Esau, to tell you, he wanted to bring down the lights of encompassing. Of the infinite, he was able to send non-pure animals. He sent camels. The gamal has a very high source, right? The word gamal means to be giving, like gemilas chasadim. Like it says by Eliezer, he took Yud Gemalim, Migamle Adanav, he took 10 camels. And all the goodness of Avram came with the camels. Like the giving of a mother. Here the Alter finishes up. This was only able to happen before the time of Torah. Yaakov specifically was looking to attract lights from Esau. After the giving of the Torah, in the world of fixing, whatever is forbidden is forbidden. You can't elevate it. We can't duplicate what Yaakov did. If you're to eat the fat of an animal, you get cut off. What Yaakov was trying to do before the giving of the Torah in a kind of encompassing one-time system to try to attract lights from Esav that hopefully he did get, but later after the giving of the Torah, all that was forbidden, and maybe things will change in a different way when Mashiach comes. All right, everyone. Sorry, went fast at the end. Just had to finish the Mammar. Laila Tov, thank you for joining. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll see you next class. Take care.
Laila Tov. Thanks, Rabbi.
Hello,